Welcome to Cityline. I'm Karen Holmes Ward. Today is my last show as host of Cityline, and wow, what a ride it's been. Over the past few decades, I've had the opportunity to interview history-making trailblazers and newsmakers, activists and community leaders, historians and educators, artists and actors, the people who have built our communities. Well, we've reached back and found some of my classic interviews from people who've made headlines by challenging the status quo to some of today's change makers. And we begin with Minister Louis Farrakhan. Many may not know that Farrakhan is from Boston. This interview followed his 1984 speech in Boston at Arlington Street Church.
It was a homecoming for Minister Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. A Boston native, Mr. Farrakhan spoke last Saturday night at the Arlington Street Church.
Could everyone take everything out your pocket except your money? Everything out your pocket except your money. Take a line, steady left. No cameras or tape recorders allowed.
Security was tight. Fruit of Islam guards searched everyone because of reported threats against the minister's life. Almost 2,000 people packed the church to capacity. Many were from mosques in Boston and New York. Some were affiliated with Christian churches, and others in the crowd were just curiosity seekers. But they had all come to hear the controversial words of the former Boston Latin High graduate, then Louis Walcott, now Louis Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan, you've recently delivered some very strong words in both your speeches and broadcasts. For this reason, do you think that the press has developed a fear of you and what you have to say?
I think the press reflects the mind, generally, of the rulers of this society. They fear that any strong black person whom they don't control and by the grace of God cannot manipulate, they fear that the truth coming from that one's mouth will take the masses of black people out from under white control.
We've had an increase in recent years of incidents against black Americans, an increase in anti-Semitic incidents, the skinheads becoming more popular than ever. It seems that many Americans are not embracing the understanding of cultural diversity at all.
We gave aid and comfort to the enemy. It meant that you could come out of the closet and do whatever you wanted to do because there was no response coming from the commander-in-chief of the nation, i.e. President Reagan at that time. And so as George Bush now begins to usher in the Bush years, it is going to be very, very incumbent upon him to see that his Attorney General Thornburgh really does something about the kinds of racial incidents and religious incidents that are rising up across this country, or else we're going to find ourselves in fantastic difficulties and more polarizations in America, and we certainly don't need it.
We stand here today challenging a nation in retreat from racial justice and gender equality.
When Harvard can say that there is not an African-American woman in America today qualified to be tenured on the law professor, A, that is not correct, but B, it is an insult. If University of Virginia and Stanford and USC and other top law schools in this country can find a diverse faculty, Harvard can as well.
On to the city's residency requirement. The city has required Boston police officers to live in the city for 10 years before moving to another location. Any thoughts on easing that requirement?
You know, and that is more of a political question, and I'll say this, and you know, it's been put out that, you know, we do that will solve all the issues. So I don't know if that's the case at all. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement in every part of the country is having issues, and they don't have any residency requirements. We're competing with the whole world. Hospitals are having issues. They have no resident requirement. There's so many industries that are having trouble attracting people, you know, so to say that residency is going to be the panacea for us, I don't think that that's realistic. And also, people love and want officers that are from their neighborhoods.
People that they know.
Exactly.
That's right.
You know, and everywhere I go, we had a community meeting just the other day, And we had maybe 12 officers that were there. They introduced themselves to the community. They were all from that community, whether they were born there, raised there, had a house, a grandmother or something. And everybody had immediately some ties to those officers, and vice versa.
Trust. And that builds the trust
helped.
with the young people. It helps with the community policing if there's somebody there from your neighborhood.
Absolutely. And the fact is the city is changing. It's becoming far more diverse. We should be a police department that looks like our population, talks like our population, is from our population.
That means all languages.
Correct. All languages, all people. And so it's hard to do that if you're not from this place.
Ruth Z. Louisienne was born and raised in Mattapan and Hyde Park. She's the daughter of Haitian immigrants, a Harvard graduate and graduate of Harvard Law School. As a lawyer, she fought for families facing eviction and foreclosure in Boston Housing Court. She defended voting rights in cases before the U.S. Supreme Court, helped elect progressive prosecutors nationwide, and served as the senior attorney on Senator Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign. Louisienne is now the third black woman to lead the Boston City Council, after Attorney General Andrea Campbell and former acting mayor Kim Janey. And she is the first Haitian American elected to Boston municipal government and the first Haitian American to lead this body. And Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley is here. Thanks for joining us. Let's say at the outset,
we did not plan this, okay? We did not plan this, but I'm in great company.
All right, all right. Pink and black is the call of the day.
Yes.
So, Congresswoman Pressley, Congress is back in session in 3 days following this 2-week recess. Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson, directed this 2-week recess. But what do you think is the first thing that Congress has to address when you go back in session next week?
Well, I know what Democrats will be focused on, which is centering the people and preventing a government shutdown, which we have done 3 times now by just making the case for how this would impact the lives of everyday people. You're talking about essential services, impacts on Social Security and Medicare, veterans benefits, food assistance to the tune in the Commonwealth. 125,000 people would be impacted when it comes to food assistance and supports, and also federal contract workers. There are 7,000 in the Commonwealth who would be impacted by that. So the number one priority is keeping the government open. We should not be in this situation at all, but this is just more of the same from this Republican majority 118th Congress. We started with chaos, and we continue to be in chaos. And it is incredibly frustrating because the people deserve a functional government.
And in fact, partisan politics have dominated this 118th Congress. Not much to show for it. How can the gridlock be broken? How do you get anything done? And a year later, Congress has put the nation on the brink of a government shutdown once again. As you just heard, many of the issues civil rights leaders and lawmakers fought for in the 80s and 90s are still on the agenda today. Now, a new generation is continuing the push for equity and social justice.